Persona. What is a customer persona? When I first came across the word persona, I thought it was a punk rock band. How far wrong could I have been? And I first came across it when I met one of the most inspirational guys I've ever met in business. And that's a guy called Mike England. He at the time was the CEO of an organisation called RS Components, and their head office is in Corby in Northamptonshire. But they're a global business employing thousands of people, and I've got tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of customers. And what I love about Mike was how engaging he is as soon as he meets you. He's got a very firm and warm handshake, but he's got a smile that lights up the room, and he takes note of everything that you say, but he's aware of everybody in the room as well. And he just speaks so clearly, and he's just got one of those infectious personalities. So when I went to meet with him, probably about 10 years ago now, he was talking to me about customer personas. And as I looked out on the sales floor, which probably had about maybe 100 people, there are these cardboard cutouts, and all of these cardboard cutouts are their customers, of what they look like. So one of the things or the suggestions that I've got for you is to go on that same journey and map out what your customers look like. So for example, I think they had about 5 personas, one of which would be Bob, for example. Bob would be a one-man band, so it'd be a micro business, maybe turning over 150, 200,000 pound a year, working from home. So he was easily contactable because he would typically just be on a mobile phone, and his frequency of ordering might be very regular. And Bob would be looked after by a team that would look after orders up to a certain value. And then you might come across Lisa, and Lisa might be part of the purchasing team for a company that's turning over 10 million pounds a year. And Lisa and her team are responsible for ordering bigger orders that might require next day delivery, and they might need drop ships across the UK. And then on the extreme might be Rita, and Rita might be the purchasing director for a company turning over 50 million pounds a year, and there may well be contracts and tenders procedures that need to go on for RS to be able to deal with them. And then you've got other personas that are sort of along that way. The interesting thing for me was about understanding the journey that each of them go on, because from Mike's perspective, every single one of them was really important to RS. Regardless of what they spent, they needed to have a different type of journey that meant the world to them. So for example, Bob would want to speak to somebody on the phone, and he would want confirmation quickly that the order had been processed, whereas perhaps the bigger organisations were quite happy to deal on email, and there would be a purchase order process that they would need to go through. But the bottom line was they understood what their customers wanted, and they mapped out their journey accordingly. So the communication they had with them, whether that be an order confirmation, whether that be a sales newsletter, whether even if that would be a letter or the invoice that would go out with them, the language would be used according to that customer persona. And when you start in business, you're just happy to win a customer. Regardless of what product or service that you're selling, you're just happy to have that customer. But as you get more customers, you've got to service them. So your customer journey in terms of the customers that you have in year 1 versus perhaps year 3 or year 4 will be very different. And I think it's something that you should do every year, is just to map out what your customer looks like in terms of their size, their sector, the amount of value that they would bring to your business in terms of what they would spend, the average order spend, and what the lifetime value that spend could be as well. And if you could sort of jot that down in terms of, just call it customer A, customer B, and customer C, and if necessary, go to D&E, and you were just to bullet point what they are, it'll be a really interesting exercise. And I think the benefits of that will mean that you will probably communicate with some differently, but it will also make you question yourself in terms of, am I doing enough for that customer? Can we improve that customer journey even more? And customers are great, but they're also even better referees. So it's a really good way of growing your customer base even further, because you can't beat a referral. When a prospect picks up the phone and says, I'd like you to come and talk to me because I've heard you've been doing great things for this customer, or I play golf with this guy and he said that you're brilliant at this, there's not a better type of inquiry that you can get. So customer personas, it'll be good fun. Map it out, give them a name, maybe even draw them, and get those bullet points written down, and then start to embrace that into your daily life. If you're interested in keeping in touch with us for other useful tips on business and marketing, make sure you follow us.